Well, glad to say we're joined by Bill Bradshaw, sports journalist, for a look at the Sunday morning newspapers. Very good morning to you, Bill.
Morning, John.
Let's start then with the controversial FA Commission. Some of the newspapers reporting the FA descending into chaos on this one. Is that really the case?
Yeah, a few of the papers have had a bite at this morning, and I'm not surprised. It's unfortunately for the FA, it is a good story. The Mail have got it on their back page. I saw you highlight that earlier, but I've chosen the Telegraph, and they describe it as civil war at the FA as Dyke hits back, and this is hitting back to Heather Rabbatts, the only black member of the FA board, who yesterday sent an open letter to her fellow board members criticising Greg Dyke for the way that he's assembled this committee, for the lack of diversity, the lack of black faces, if you like, on that commission that he's setting up to look into the future of the England team. And I think this is a great shame, to be honest, because what needs to happen here, and everybody's applauded Greg Dyke's initiative in setting up this commission to examine how best to improve the England team in the future. And what's happening here is that it's falling foul of political correctness, which is understandable in the world we live in today, but also I think on the whole committee process and the need to include all the stakeholders. If you look at the people that he's named so far, he's got to look after the Football League, he's got to look after the FA, he's got to look after the PFA. In fact, the PFA is one of the things that Dyke has hit back in his own public letter, answering her criticism, in which he said, look, we tried to get Clark Carlisle from the PFA, the retiring PFA chairman, but the PFA wanted their current guy, Richie Humphries, instead. So that would have given them a very high-profile black player, or very recently ex-player, and it's all falling foul, I think, of having to dot the I's and cross the T's in just the right politically correct way that we live in today. Yeah. And to a degree, I think what every football fan wants to see, yes, set it up right, and I think Greg Dyke would accept he's made mistakes, but let's have the people on there who really are going to improve things for the England team. And all this backbiting, let's get it out the way now, hopefully, and let them get on and do the job with people who really can make a difference.
Yeah, well, Bill, there's plenty more comment could be had there, but we've got to push on. Let's move on to the Express, and perhaps one up for Roy over AVB?
Yeah, I like this. Again, it's a follow-on, if you like, from England and the FA during the week. John Richardson in the Sunday Express saying that Roy's hit the jackpot with the way that he trumped, if you like, Andre Villas-Boas, the Tottenham manager, who complained initially at Andros Townsend's inclusion in the squad ahead of those last two qualifiers, saying that he wasn't ready, or certainly very heavily hinting that he wasn't ready for international football. Well, we saw what happened after that, didn't we, against Montenegro and Poland. He looked pretty ready for it. And John Richardson there is saying that, you know, quoting Roy Hodgson, saying, you know, that the Tottenham manager didn't think he was ready. I did. And now, you know, he's been claimed as the best thing since sliced bread. Yeah. And following on directly from that, and I think it's rather good in the People, their columnist Dave Kidd, he's saying that this guy, Andros Townsend, could hold the key to AVB Spurs' future. He says that the international break came at just the right time for AVB. He'd just been outfoxed by West Ham in that London derby. He'd also just said he's not ready, Townsend, for an international call-up. Now we've got Townsend back at Tottenham, and interestingly, in that £107 million spending spree, you tend to forget about the guys who are already there, like Townsend, but the biggest of all those buys was Eric Lamela, a left-footed right winger who plays in exactly the same place as Townsend. Now then, what Dave Kidd's saying here is this could be the key to AVB's season with Tottenham, because there's a lot of pressure on him to get into the top four, to deliver Champions League football for Daniel Levy and the Spurs board. What's he going to do with Townsend? Is he going to play him out of position? Is he going to try and accommodate Eric Lamela? Yeah. Very, very interesting into what AVB does now with a guy who he didn't think was ready for international football.
OK, let's switch the focus back to England, and unequivocal advice from a former England captain to the current England captain.
Absolutely right. Terry Butcher in the Mirror. I like this because this was my first thought when we had all this nonsense about the Space Monkey joke the other night. We'd had Gerrard himself coming out and the manager, Roy Hodgson, saying what a tight group, close bonds, you know, they're a firm, close-knit group, this England squad. And what happens after that, of course, within 24 hours, he's having to defend himself, Hodgson, against these claims that an England player was upset by this Space Monkey joke, which was allegedly a jibe at Andros Townsend. Of course, that guy again, Townsend, but he was very quick to say not so. Terry Butcher saying Gerrard needs to get the England players together as captain and lay down the law. We can't have things like this coming out of the dressing room, because somebody leaked that to the Sun. Somebody or somebody's agent made the point that they weren't happy. And quite frankly, I mean, I thought the story was just so much phooey and hot air, I really did, and not good for the England squad with all these claims about togetherness. Yeah. So I actually absolutely agree with Terry Butcher here, whether it's Gerrard or whether it's Hodgson or whether it's a combination of the two. Let it be the skipper. He needs to say, as he said after that match, we're a close-knit group, we're all together, we're focused on Brazil now. He needs to get them together and say, right, all this nonsense, all this tittle-tattle stops here, because they've come out and said, Wayne Rooney's come out and said, you know, we're not happy with what Roy Hodgson's had to go through with this. Let them prove it.
OK, Bill, well, 27 goals in the Premier League yesterday, and Arsenal playing some beautiful football at the moment, huh?
Well, I've chosen that because, you know, we've been looking at some of the political stuff there, but the live stuff's what we all want to see, isn't it? And that Arsenal goal, that first Arsenal goal by Jack Wilshere, you know, it was Cazorla, Wilshere, Giroud, Wilshere, Giroud again, back to Wilshere. What a goal. And the Telegraph have highlighted it on their front page. And
well,
it really...
all the goals, weren't they?
Oh, fantastic. I mean... You know, you have to say that if Arsenal can keep that up, they're going to take some stopping. They're at the summit now, and it's very early in the season. But that football, which Arsenal teams under Wenger have always been capable of playing, if they can do that anything like consistently, they will take some stopping. OK. What's the worst job in football, Bill? Well, the worst job in football, yeah. I mean, we'll turn it right back to where we started in this review. It's the England job, isn't it? And the Daily Star Sunday quote Sir Alex Ferguson on the back page and inside, saying that he feels really sorry for Roy Hodgson, that the England job is only anything like a decent job when you're winning. And even when you're winning, as has been proved this week, it's not that great. Yeah. So he's got great sympathy for Hodgson. And what he's saying here is, you know, I've seen off 11 England managers in my time at Manchester United. Just think about that, 11 England managers. And he says that unless everything is absolutely A1 and going your way, that the England job is a lousy one. Right. Well, Bill, thanks very much for joining us this morning. Okay.